Film fans of YouTube, hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Josh, your Movie Apprentice, and today, well, with the release of Final Destination Bloodlines, I could have done a ranking of all the Final Destination movies, but let's be real, when it comes to Final Destination, we're looking for one thing. So, I, in my infinite wisdom, have decided I'm going to be tier listing every single canon death in the Final Destination franchise from 1 all the way through to Bloodlines. So yes, spoiler alert right off the bat if you don't want to know who dies and how they die in any of these movies, because I'll be talking through all of them. I am only counting the canon deaths of survivors. That gets a bit messy when we get to the last two movies, Cheers 5 and Bloodlines. Basically, my overall ruling of this is going to be name characters. If we know exactly how they die or see exactly how they die, then that's what's going to count, which sadly does mean that as much as we love the roller coaster, the log truck, the collapsed bridge, and the exploding plane, we will not be counting the premonition deaths in this because technically no one died in those, again, apart from some later movies that decided to really mess with that and make it a very awkward tier list to categorize. But basically, key cast, how they die, and whether that be death plan or through other means that wouldn't have been a problem until 5. We're going to go straight into it from number 1 all the way to Bloodlines. So we'll start off with Final Destination 1, but quickly in the tiers, iconic, it's the cream of the crop, the best of the best in the franchise. Bloody brilliant. These are those ridiculously great kills that fall just shy of being that level of iconic. Fun, those silly creative kills that are enjoyable enough. We have meh, those that are just like that's it. And then there's a waste, which tends to be reserved for those characters that I feel like deserve a more gruesome death, or those that seem to come out of nowhere, like deaths that just don't feel, they're either boring, lame, or just very undeserving or sometimes mean-spirited. That's kind of what I'm going to go with on this one. So, jumping straight into this, we start off with Todd Wagner. He is the first to die by death's game. His death is choked on a chain in a bathtub, which he can't stand up because of slippery slope. It's the first of the creative ways death tries to kill people off. There are several fake outs. In terms of his death, it's very simple and non-graphic in terms of gore and violence that later movies get, but it is the first one. And I would say for me, because I'm going to go through these fairly quickly because it's going to be a long-ass video otherwise, I'm going to put Todd in the bloody brilliant because there's just a level of uncomfortableness in his death in this one that I feel like gets lost in some of the later movies. Like, it feels very raw and personal. This is death trying to be subtle about his kills early on, and I thought it's a bloody brilliant opening kill to really set things into motion. Then we get over to Terry, Terry Cheney, who, well, splattered by the bus. Would go in meh because it's like really quick, but for me, I feel like it goes into fun because it's the first time we get the bus run over death. It's very, that is kind of predictable when you see the shot. It literally has that wide shot ready for that to happen, but as a bit of shock factor, it shows that death can come at any moment. It's not always going to be elaborate deaths that occur within it. Then we get over to Valerie Luton, and this for me is the iconic one from the first movie because it's just so crazy and bizarre. You're watching this damn franchise, and it's like everywhere in these movies has the worst possible electronics ever. All it takes is a drop of water on a bit of electrical cable, and it was a chain reaction that would just kill a lot of people. It's a fun kill. She does a stupid thing of putting a hot drink and an ice cold drink into a cup, cracks that, drips it onto this computer, leans right into the computer, it blows up in her face, cuts her throat, and then there's a fire. She gets impaled by a knife rack where she's throwing a towel over it, and just to be a dick, Death like does a random push the knife in when our lead in that one comes across Alex. And yeah, it's a stupid, silly death that sets the precedent of what's to come. I think she has the best death in this one. Then we come over to Billy Hitchcock, Sean William Scott himself, Steve Stifler. Decapitated, but it's like through the mouth, I believe, is where the plate goes. And his, it's quick, it's sudden, it's after a rant, it's kind of telegraphed. Um, I'm gonna say meh for his because it feels like, well, it is a gruesome death, it's very quick, and considering you go into this, and this is probably the most recognizable actor going into that first one, at least from my perspective, I just feel like he could have had a more interesting deaths. And then finally, we jump in to Carter at the very end. Again, I'm gonna go meh for him because it is a cut to black. We don't see his death. We see it swinging in, about to kill him off. And yeah, I do not think he is the greatest death in this movie. But that is where we wind up with the first Final Destination. So let's load up Final Destination number 2. So we go straight into Final Destination 2, and with this one, where we start off with a very straightforward one. Obviously, it has the iconic pileup with the iconic deaths. Final Destination 2 really gets more character into the movie. It allows some characters to flesh out a bit more. But we're going to start off with a triple header, as it's a shock, but Dano, Frankie, and Shiana, they all die when the trailer kills them in the premonition, runs him over anyway after the officer drags away our lead. It's a shock one, to be sure, but it is also a very quick one considering some of the other deaths in this movie. These three all come into that sort of meh category for me. It just feels like there was more to be done with these, but it does get rid of the friends quick, so she has to convince strangers to like them. But then we get into a nice fun one, and that is the death of Evan Lewis. Now, Evan Lewis has won the lottery. He chucks his spaghetti out the window. There's a fire. He escapes the fire, slips on spaghetti, and watches this ladder impale him. Well, this gives him a moment to roll out the way, and he doesn't do so. It's such a fun, elaborate death. Again, with a lot of fake ups. It's right up there with Valerie, but I'm going to put it in bloody brilliant because he could have avoided that death quite easily. But I feel like, as the first major death fucking moving death in this one, I think his death is a lot of fun. And then coming up next on that little list, we're going to have to jump straight into Alex Browning, our lead from the first one. It's a waste. He is killed off screen. Him and Clea Rivers are the survivors from the first one, and he gets killed by a falling brick. We see a photo of it. We never actually see the death. We know categorically how he died, and considering how he was a lead character, his off-screenness of his death, and the simplicity of the death, it just feels like it is a waste of killing off a major character from the previous film. But jumping over to Tim Carpenter, this is a daft little death, to be honest. He goes to a dental office. There's some stuff that happens in that. He nearly chokes to death, but he is saved at the last minute. And then our two leads, they run in, screaming about pigeons, and Tim sees pigeons and immediately chases them off. But it's not like he's like some 10-year-old kid that runs into pigeons a lot. It's like a kid that is, I think, in his early teens, that is about to hit that teenage year. And it just feels randomly random, but a pane of glass falls and splatters him like just like a pancake, completely flat. Him, I am going to put him in the fun category. I think it's a silly death, but the squish on it and the amount of blood in it, I think is just a lot of fun. And then we get into Nora. Nora's death in this, man, so there's a creepy man with hooks. It traps her head. She gets trapped in the elevator doors. It decapitates her. But the fear that she sells in this one makes it slightly uncomfortable, but it's also funny at the same time. I think her death is bloody brilliant. It is a brutal death. I think I will put it above. Yeah, I'll put it just below Todd because it's got that bloody factor to it, and it was less avoidable. I thought it was a really good death, and then it takes a while before someone else dies. But we have Kat Jennings, so she nearly gets impaled by the back of a pipe, and then while the fire rescuers are trying to get her out of the car, she's getting grudgy about how noisy the thing is, doesn't move her head out of the way, airbag goes off, bam, impaled for the back of the head. It's a setup one. I think it's fun, but it's quick, it's sudden, it's shocking, but I would say it is definitely fun. I feel like I'll put it on top of the fun ones because it's just the fact she avoids it initially and then gets splattered by it. I thought that was a lot of fun. And then we got Rory. Oh, I think his death was bloody brilliant. There's an explosion, and a fence with barbed wire flies in, decapitates him 3 ways. And he was probably my favorite character in this movie up until that point as well. And I was sad to see him go, like him asking for Lee to delete his porn collection to not break his mum's heart. Like I liked he wore his heart on his sleeve, and he did save some in this as well. So it was sad to see him go. I thought he had a bloody brilliant death. All right, we're gonna go straight into Eugene here. Eugene collapsed lung, like we see him go denying to want to blow his brains out with all 6 rounds. He is terrified, he is scared, he has a collapsed lung, and then I think I'm gonna put his in the iconics, to be honest, because he is suffering, he is panicking, he's trying to kill himself, he's got a collapsed lung, and he's seeing his ventilator stuff turn off. He is experiencing just nothing but terror. He can't do anything, his lungs are knackered, and he's watching everything drain out, and then it looks like he's safe, and then Clear Rivers opens the door, and kaboom, he is cooked, as well as Clear Rivers. Now, Clear Rivers, I wanted to put it in a waste, because this is a character that could have led the whole show. I think she was supposed to be in the 3rd one, but some stuff came out from what I was researching, so they had to kill her off in this one. In terms of like how she does die, it's the explosion. She dies pretty much instantly. And it is the moment she lets her guard down. She's never let her guard down. The moment she does, death takes advantage and kills her along with Eugene. I won't say it's just sad that we've lost like the most interesting character in the franchise so far. I'll put it top of meh. But yeah, I'll put it top of meh because I feel like for a character of that magnitude, it's so shocking, it's so sudden, it's more dignified than a lot of deaths in this. And yeah, I think I would like to see more Clear Rivers. Like, it's probably I could make an argument for iconic, to be fair, because it is probably one of the biggest shocks of the whole franchise. But for me, it's just meh because I feel like they were gonna kill her off. Like, it's weird. I'm torn between meh and iconic. Like, because I didn't have anything wrong with it. I didn't think it was really brilliant. But it's like, we'll keep it top of meh. But if you want to make the argument for why it should be in the top tier iconic, then I would not disagree with that. And then finally, we get into a kid that I almost forgot to add to this bloody list, and that is Brian. He's the one saved by Rory in the early part of the film. And he blows up at a barbecue and lands on the plane, which means the 2 survivors from the highway, they actually survive. They're the only ones that seem to survive the entire franchise up until this point and going forward. I think it's a fun one. It's a fun little stinger. He had a fun little death. So that's him. And Fire Session 2, I thought would have been the top tier of Fire Session movies. But there was another one. There's a couple later that I think are better. But we're going to jump straight into the 3rd Final Destination movie. This is one where it really gets messy with me because of premonitions. So we have Carrie and we have Jason, and we spend time with them, and they don't get off the roller coaster, so they do die on the roller coaster. I believe their part of the roller coaster just flies off the track. So while it is a premonition, it is their canon deaths. And in terms of the overall, when I think of the other like big premonition deaths, I would say that these 2, I would say it's fun. The roller coaster going off the rails is a fun one. They fly off, they die horribly. I will put them at the bottom of fun, both of them, so I'm going to put them at the bottom of fun because it is a premonition death. So I feel like premonition deaths that end up being canon do deserve to be fun at a bare minimum because they are the big set piece at the start of the movie to really get you into the action. But then we jump into the other deaths in this one. So we jump straight into Ashley and Ashlyn. Where else are you going to put Ashley and Ashlyn? With the best match cut in the history of cinema. It is a phenomenal death scene. We all love the sunbed scene. They go in, they get in the sunbeds, and through a mixture of taking a slushy when they shouldn't have, turned the thermostat up, and shenanigans, including the shelf and the sun cream bottle, they die horribly and painfully. Then we jump straight into Frankie Cheeks. Creepy guy with a camcorder. His death is quick and sudden. He's basically in the drive-thru in front of the 2 leads in this one. He gets his head shredded by an engine. It's quick, it's sudden, but because we don't know it's Frankie until after he dies, I feel that especially with this character as well, just being this self-absorbed individual. I do feel like he deserved a worse death than what he got. It was very quick for him compared to the slow, painful death that Ashley and Ashlyn got. So I'm gonna put him down in the waist because even though like the blood and stuff is fun in it, I just felt like there could have been a different death for him. But then we get to the bloody brilliant death of Lewis. Lewis freaking Romero. It's testosterone central for Lewis. It's a bloody brilliant death, top of bloody brilliant. Just that F the Bruins, proper going for it. And then F death, boom, splat. Glorious. Absolutely glorious death, top tier. It's not quite the level of the sunbed death for me. So that's why it's going top of bloody brilliant. But oh my god, I enjoyed his death. And then we get to Erin's death. Nail gun in the back, bam, 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 bam. She has like, I think like 7 nails that just go through the back of her head if she falls. It's a shocking death because they are obviously saving Ian. I think her death is also up there in the bloody brilliant. Do I put it? I think I'll put it just below her because I just feel like there's something more terrifying in the elevator death versus the nail gun, but the nail gun was certainly a fun death to behold as well. Let me just make sure I've got space on the tier. Yeah, more than enough space on the tier. I'm just going to go met for this character. The character's name is Perry. We see her 2 times. Don't really have to spend any time with her. And then they stand up and get impaled by a flagpole after the twist that Wendy's sister is the other person that is on the roller coaster. So that's where that one's going to go. It's a gruesome death. All right, I just realized my mistake here because I was getting confused a second there. Sorry, that's Julie and that's Ashlyn. We jump straight into Ian. I think he's got a fun death. I will probably put him... I think his splatter is not as good as Tim's was in number 2. My problem with his death is that he could have avoided that. There was a long time for that thing to fall, for him to just jump out the way and move. It's a bit of a waste of a death. I did love the hint that he lost his mind a bit after Erin dies, and he's blaming Wendy for it. But that's where I'm going with that. And then we come into, this is a premonition death that does come true because we see the premonition and it's too late to change anything. Literally, the premonition happens seconds before it actually happens versus a few minutes. So here we are. We have Wendy, we have Julie, and we have Jason. We accidentally have another clear rivers here. I'm just going to have to move that out of the way. Just ignore that for the rest of the video. Actually put it in a separate file. But yeah, so Kevin, Wendy, and Julie. So let's think of the ways they die. So they definitely die the same way they do in the premonition. That's what we're going to assume because there's no change in what they would be doing there. So Julie is quick. It's the wheel of the subway takes her out on the train. I think is quick, sudden. We'll put it in the fun because it's like brutal. I think, yeah, Kevin, we're going to put him, the way he goes out the windows, gets shredded against Sarah, I think that is a bloody brilliant death. So I think it's above these two. Not as brutal as Erin, so we'll put him there. And obviously Wendy, Mary Elizabeth Winstead herself, she gets hit by a train. She survives the actual crash, but another train comes along. She can't move because her leg is absolutely fucked. The final destination. So we have the final destination, the forget characters, this is all 3D, baby. I'm going to make a smart and a cheat here. While we do see the racist individual's wife die in the premonition through the decapitation through the middle, because she moves, like, she's told to stay back by her husband, but she has moved, and established in this movie that someone not moving or moving might change their fate overall in the grand scheme of things on the final destination. So I'm not going to put her on the tier list. We don't know categorically how she died. She could have been decapitated like she was in the premonition, or she could have been just crushed by falling rubble. There's no way to guarantee how that particular character died, so they will not be in the list. But we'll jump straight into the first one. So we have Nadia here. Nadia, I feel like it's a meh one. It is a meh. Here is 3D. Tell you what, we'll put her above these two. You know, we'll move Perry up a bit as well because I feel like she surpasses the flat in there. But you know, Tyler flies at the stadium and just takes her out. It's brutal. She's midway through screaming at someone. But this is one that's a lot of deaths that just come flying in your face. And I'm going to be straight with you guys. I do not like the Final Destination. I think it's the worst one by a country mile. It's just, oh, 3D, 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 and that is it. Hella 3D. 2008, 2009 was a rough year. Well, like end of the 2000s was a rough time for horror movies because they were just obsessed with freaking 3D. Going into the next one, I'm trying to remember who dies next in that particular movie in the order. Of course, how am I forgetting here? That'll be Carter Daniels over here, Mr. Racist himself. He gets the fun treatment, I would say. So he gets dragged along. He's blaming the black security guard for his wife. He's trying to do a Ku Klux Klan cross. Gets dragged by his forklift truck. It lights on fire and blows him up, and his bits fly everywhere. It's fun, it's graphic, it's gory, and it's comeuppance for just a racist character. Like, just generally, you know, if there's ever going to be a character that's just like, yep, can't wait for you to die, it's that kind of character. So Samantha Lane is the MILF mother, the one that puts tampons in the kids' ears. So she goes to a hair salon. There's so many fake outs with a hair salon there. Bird F is telegraphed when the kids are throwing rocks at a sign, and we see one hit the grass. So he comes out of the hair salon after some craziness, steps out the door, and this pebble flies in and just goes right through her eye. Much as I don't like most of the kills in this one, I think hers is going to go bottom of iconic for me. It's just so quick, all the fake outs with this one, and just the quickness of it. It's brutal, it's memorable, it's iconic. So Andy Kurzer, the mechanic, we get a minor bit of character with him, and he is a character that I quite like for the brief time I see him, but it feels like there could be more done with his character. So he dodges the truck, but then I think it's like a little gas canister that flies and then impales him against the fence, and he just gets shredded into pieces. It's a gross kill, it's an in-your-face 3D kill like everyone else, but I think it's a waste because I just feel like there's more that could have been done with him as a character. This is a film that fails to give any character development or character expansion. I just feel like his death is a little bit of a waste. Then we get to Hunt. Meh. I'm going to put middle of meh. I think I'll put him below her. He dives into a pool. The pool's got its like pressure pump fucked. And he gets stuck. And he gets all his insides sucked out. So that should really be iconic. But we don't really see it. We see like his stomach like breathing really tight. And then we see all his guts fly out. But it like cuts away before his like big gruesome death, and with how silly like the effects look in most of these movies anyway, like you could have made this look like the most B movie crap ever, and it would have worked for me. But no, I just didn't think his was a great death overall. He was a dickhead character, but I feel like we didn't get to see enough of it. That's why it comes to the meh category for me. The cowboy. They call him the cowboy, but the character's name is Jonathan Groves. It's a waste. We don't know anything about his character. We forget he even exists. In fact, I'm going to put him below. You know, he's going bottom. He's going bottom. Because at least we had time with Alex Browning. Despite the crappiness of his death, we had time with him. And he gets crushed with a fucking bath that falls down and just splatters him while he's trying to crawl away from his bed. That's a big room. Incompetent doctors. Dumb death for a character we know nothing about and never get to see until he has to die. Just dumb. And then we're going to go same for George here. They just repeat the bus splatter. It's quick, it's sudden. There's actually more development in this character. And he just feels like his death is an absolute waste in this movie. And that's the last death. Then we get through the whole mall section, which is so silly, but has some really fun deaths in it. But again, premonition, we do not count it. So we get into the X-ray ending. So Janet is one sat on the right, Laurie's the one sat in the middle. So that's how we remember. Okay, so Janet crushed under the tire. I'll give her the fun category, and I will put her above Carter. I think that this idea of being flattened by a tire is gruesome, but unfortunately, X-Ray kind of starts from being like a bloody brilliant. Shredded by a fan for Laurie. At least we know Laurie, so I'll put her below in terms of fun. I'll put her below Julie. We'll put her below Julie. And obviously Nick thrown against the wall, main character death, just a bit meh, especially the X-Rayness. So we'll put him down there. So hot take, I feel like Final Destination 5 is the best of the Final Destination movies, simply because they flesh out every character in this. It has some of the best deaths in the entire franchise, and well, it has that iconic ending as well. I just feel like this might be my favorite one, that is including Bloodlines. But Bloodlines is my second favorite in the overall ranking. So we're going into the death. So we have the suspension bridge collapse, and we're going to start off with Candace Hopper, who's doing gymnastics. A nail hits one of her other gym mates. They knock over some powder. She gets it in the face. She goes flying off her routine and just breaks into like 3 or 4 pieces. Her death, I think, is bloody brilliant. I think I would put it just below the mother from the second one, because I just think it's a shocking death, it's a gruesome death, but it's good. And then we go into Isaac. Isaac, the creepy guy that seems to be like an IT guy, just seems to be this massive fuckboy, because he's calling several different girls all the time, being absolutely perverted, very racist, like the way the masseuse deals with him. His death is, I think it might go top brilliant for me. Maybe iconic. I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to consider that one. Bloody brilliant on him, because just the acupuncture, running away from flames, getting crushed by Buddha after he fat shames Buddha. I think it's just the peak of what is funny. Oh, is it better than? Is it better than his death in the third one though? All right, I'll put it second top of bloody brilliant, because his is just a lot of fun. Olivia Castle. That's the thing with this one. People are getting a second chance at life, so they're trying to take their second chance at life. And this is the laser eye surgery one. I want to put it in iconic because laser eye, if you've played Dead Space 2, we know all about laser eye being shocking. But she falls out a window. That's what kills her in the end. But the laser stuff is just so bottom of iconic. It's definitely bloody brilliant. But I'm going to go bottom of iconic because laser eye is like, anyone that ever does laser eye surgery, I feel like that is in the back of their mind. If that could happen to him, I think that is probably the most iconic kill in this film for me. And then we go into Roy. I forgot to add him to the list. I just remembered him. So this is how Nathan sort of gets out of dealing with death. Roy and Nathan had an argument. A hook falls. Nathan accidentally pushes Roy, and Roy gets impaled from a hook that goes through there in the head. Not a very likable character. I'll say it's a fun death. Probably put it just above the racist, I would say, is where I'd put him. Yeah, put it right in the middle of fun. I just feel like for me, his death is fun. That's where that one's going to go. And then we get the boss character in this. Name is Dennis Lapp. The boss character is, for me, meh. He gets like a pipe go through his eyes, but I feel like it's such a crappy character, a shitty boss. Could have got a much more interesting death than this. I'll probably put it above. Yeah, I'll put it above Swimming Pool Guy, but below Nadia. I feel like Nadia had a bit more going for it, but there was this more potential with his death. Do I put it in a waste? Because I felt there's a bit of a. They wasted his death a little bit. You know what? Yeah, we'll put it top of waste because I feel like shitty character like him needed a more interesting, fun death. But he gets a nice, easy, nice, quick one. Jim Block, another non-death plan. Shot in the back 3 times. Yeah, 3 bullets in the back. Bottom of waist. He gets shot. People get shot in any movie. Like, so it's just, in terms of fire station standards, not a very good death. And then we jump right over to Peter. Peter, for me, is an interesting character. They take Ian's mental breakdown for the third one and expand upon it in this one. And I feel like his death, he gets impaled with an instrument by our lead as well. I feel like his death definitely goes in the fun, but in terms of like overall deaths on the funs, we'll put him just below this gentleman because I feel like his death it's more the character mental collapse versus the actual death, but I'll put him straight in the middle of that. And then we get to the big twist ending. They've been talking about going to France the whole movie. Plot twist, it's flight 180. And that is where both Molly and Sam die. Molly goes out the window and gets split by the tail of the plane. Brutal death, heart-breaking death, but because of the twist alone as well. And the fact she survived the initial premonition as well, it feels very mean-spirited. Like, the 3 survivors at the end of this, nothing against them. They're lovely characters. I would say, but her split in half just above Todd, and we get to see Sam experience the burning in his chair in its fullest unfiltered glory. Yeah, what, we're gonna put them both actually. I'll put them just above laser eye surgery. Because it's the iconic ending, everyone remembers it. And then we have Nathan, who gets splattered by the falling gears because Roy would have died any day now. His death felt like a bit of his casual, like, yeah, we need to get rid of him. So his death's just a bit meh. It looks really stupid as well. So we'll put you below Carter and Billy, I would say. So we'll go into Bloodlines now, and I'm going to talk about all the deaths in Bloodlines. So spoilers. I'm going to talk about everything in Final Destination number 6. So we have Iris. She's old. She's trying to convince her family to, she leaves her safety shack and gets impaled by an antenna, I believe it is. It's a self-sacrifice death, and there's a lot more character stakes in this one because we care about the characters because of their familiar relationships. I would put hers probably just above Ian in this. I think her death is a nice, fun, shocking one, but it's telegraphed because she is choosing to die by death's game. We jump into the uncle in this one. This one you do see in the trailer. He's the one that gets his head shredded by the lawnmower after a terrible barbecue. And as an ex-bartender, it really annoys me that they break a glass and don't clear out the ice bucket. That's the first thing they teach you in bartending when you're a cocktail maker. His death, he's such a lovely character as well. He's such a lovely gentleman. His death, I'm going to whack him solidly in the bloody brilliant. It's very elaborate. I will probably put him above Aaron, above Isaac, but below Mr. Testosterone over here. His death is gruesome. And then we get to Julia. So this is the funniest death in the whole damn franchise. She starts going for a jog after Eric survives his ordeal, gets knocked into a bin as predicted by our lead, put into a trash bin. The trash manager was on his headphones, swiping through tin noise, driving along automatically. So he rises too late to turn it off, and she just gets decapitated in the machine. It's a silly little death, but it's a fun death. So she goes straight into the fun death category. Definitely above the roller coaster. I put her between Carter and fucking Roy. That's where I'm going to put her. So Eric is my favorite character in the whole franchise. That big death you see of him in the tattoo parlor, it happens in the film, but he survives it. He survives with a leather jacket. And basically, thanks to Tony Todd's last minute final warning to him, he makes a plan with Bobby to have Bobby die of an allergen thing with peanuts. And then they bring him back. Death doesn't like that. The traps him in a machine. It's a big industrial machine. I think it's I'm not going to name the machine because I can't figure it off the top of my head. It's like a CAT scan machine, maybe. The man gets really strong and it pulls out all his piercings one by one, drags him in by the belly, he's sucked in. His Prince Albert comes ripped out. He gets ripped apart piece by piece and then folded in half. And considering a lot of these gory deaths in this franchise look very fake, this one didn't look as fake as others. And it's like, for me, I think Eric's death might be the best death in the whole franchise. I hold my hands up. I think he has the best gruesome death in the whole franchise. And the fact he was my favorite as well. I was gutted when he went. He's abrasive. He's a bit of an asshole, but he's lovable in that way. That's why I liked him. And then Bobby, bless his heart. He's such a sweet boy. Survives the peanut overdose because he gets the person that, you're dying. You kind of choose to not die. He gets his head impaled with a thing. I think that's a bloody brilliant kill. It's set right after Eric as well. As a moment where it's like, oh, he's safe. It's like, nope, he's not safe. I'll put him below the hooks, but above the gymnast. And then we jump into our final couple of kills in this whole franchise. Starting off with Darlene, who's the mother of the main girl in this. Estranged. There's a nice emotional moment, but her death is like a comical one. It's like, I'll stay alive as long as I am. Before she can even say can, she gets flattened by a falling bit of debris, from what I recall. And yeah, so I think her death's meh. It's a bit mean-spirited. I'll put it above them that got run over in the road. We end off with the classic. So we got to the end. Stephanie has drowned. She's brought back to life. Same as in number 2, so you think they're safe. But then it's like your heart stopped, but you didn't technically die, which seems like a cop-out way to bring another one. And then we roll it back to the log thing. A train comes crashing and some logs come flying. So Stephanie and Charlie are running from these falling logs. They start different the same. They both get flattened by some falling logs in a very silly ending. I think it's one of the weakest ending deaths going. I'm just gonna go meh for both of them. No, it's quit for both of them. They die the exact same way. Oh, look at that. The two photos I took the next trip in the movie. Look at that. It lines up. But yeah, that's where I'm putting them. So there we have it, guys. My tier list of every canon death in the Final Destination franchise, not counting premonition deaths where we don't see an main character die. That is where I line up with those. Let me know how you would tier these down in the comments below. Coming up on the channel, we'll be reviewing Hollow Road. And if this video does well, if this tier list does alright, I might do a tier list of all the sword deaths because I absolutely love that franchise and there's so many to get through. But make sure you are subscribed for more video views, rankings, and video essays coming all the time. Until next, everybody, I am Josh, I be Movie Apprentice, and I'll see you all in the next video.